Nice. All right.
Cool.
Uh,
Um,
yeah. So tell me.
you wouldn't have known because I talked to Luke and I said, "Oh yeah, you both ended up kind of leaving Minnesota, going out east." Because he said, "Yeah, he thinks you left before he did." Because our parents, so your family must have moved
No.
to New Jersey. Oh,
Yeah. My
no.
mom, my mom said, do you, I was doing great as far as I was concerned. Like I was having a great time. But
Oh,
I wasn't getting good grades and I was probably unhappy somewhere in there and I just wasn't, it was hard. The Lindbergh kids were great and everybody did a good job with the merger and everything, but it was still a merger and my whole, our whole world was like kind of dissolved and we were put into a new world.
hmm,
And I knew,
sure.
like I knew my future in the old world and I didn't know my future in the new world. And so my plan was that when I graduated, if I graduated, I was going to go out west and be a ranch hand. And
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Yeah.
my mom was watching what was going on, and she asked me one day, "Do you want to go live with your aunt and uncle and your cousins in Ridgewood for your senior year?" And I said, without missing a beat, I said yes. I
Okay.
wasn't expecting the question or anything, but it was just like yes.
So our parents moved to Washington, D.C. I think Luke was a junior. Well, so he's like his last 2 years of high school were in Washington. We're about 9 years apart in age. It was like, yeah, really little brother, you know. It was fun. I mean, we loved having like this little kid, it's fun toy to play with.
How many Weisberg kids are in the clan?
It's just three. So I'm in the middle. I have an older brother. He graduated from Golden Valley. He graduated in 73, and I graduated in 75. And your class was going to be 83. Yeah, right. Very different. So, yeah, just the three of us.
So what I mean there's so much I would love to talk to you about. First
Yeah.
of all, like what are your impressions of Golden Valley? What are your memories of Golden Valley kind of at a big, sort of, um,
Hmm.
macro level?
Right. I mean, for me, the two standout things, like, for telling the story kind of thing was my parents moved there because they heard it had a good school district. We moved, they were looking for a bigger house. They were like, all right, we're going to move out of St. Louis Park. We're Jewish. So it's like I thought everyone was Jewish. And we moved to Golden Valley. I'm like, where are we? We're like in Sweden. There's all these Lutherans and, Johnsons and all these people. Um, but because it was so small, it was a very close community. Growing up there and being in that school it was like my family. Like walking down the halls, it's like, oh, there's so and so, and I know their brother and his sister, and you grew up with these kids, but they were your brother's, the other siblings were your brother's friends. We knew everybody. I mean, we had a class of 130, 137 or something like that. I just think of it as like it was a very close-knit community.
That's the exact same impression I had, is it felt like an extended family. And my mom, when she moved there after getting divorced from my father, we had been living in a townhouse in Robbinsdale on Twin Lakes, and I went to
Mm.
kindergarten there. And then they got divorced, and my mom found this cute little house on the hill, and we had it like an acre yard,
Mm.
big,
Wow.
yeah, tiny
Well,
house,
it's
but big yard, and private and just cool as can be. Um, we were right. Our backyard neighbor were the Sadoffs,
oh, Sadoff. Yeah, Amy Sadoff.
and Whitney
Yep.
Sadoff, yeah.
Funny.
Um, so, my mom, I think, knew that it had a really good reputation school wise. And she also, I think, was like, it not only does it have a good reputation, it's small. And so it's going to be a community. I felt like I was being raised by this community. My
Mm-hmm.
mom worked full time. After work, she would go either ref volleyball, basketball, or teach ballroom dance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not every night, but a lot. And it was
Mm-hmm.
not a problem. It was not an issue. I mean, next to the Sadoffs were the Swartzes, and I could always go to the Swartzes' house and hang out with
Hmm.
Jeff and Mindy and Danny and Steve, the father, and Harriet, the
Hmm.
mom, and the grandma was still there, I think, at the time. One of my theories, and why it was special and why it was maybe exceptional, is that size has a civilizing effect. Like if you're
Hmm.
in a small group or an extended family, you behave a certain way. If you're in a large group, you can otherize all kinds of groups. And that
Hmm.
just never was my experience there. There were different groups. There were the kids that smelled like Marlboros and smoked cigarettes, and there were the kids that were totally brainy. There were the jocks. There was a lot of crossover too. Nobody fit into neat packages. It wasn't a John Hughes movie. It was much more
Right.
varied than that. A guy wearing a Two Fingers Tequila shirt might also be the valedictorian, which for some
Hmm.
reason Two Fingers Tequila shirts were really popular when I was in ninth grade.
Hysterical. Do you have siblings?
I have an older sister. She thrived at Golden Valley.
Okay.
I was in first grade. She was in third grade when we moved there. She graduated from there, second to last class in 79. She very smart, very good grades, really good
Mm.
athlete. She played softball, and they went to the state tournament her last year and almost won
Hmm.
it. And then she played basketball, and they were quite good. I think they even beat Marshall U a couple times, which is a big deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think that softball team, the Golden Valley softball girls, when they went to Hopkins, I think they may have won it all, and Hopkins might have won it all. And I think they were kind of, obviously somewhat instrumental in that.
Hmm. Oh, cool. That's great.
So,
Um,
I mean, I feel like you were there in the prime or part of the prime of it. I mean, maybe there were people that knew the writing on the wall, about declining enrollment coming because they could just look at the
mhm.
lower grades and everything. But
Right.
you had a class of 130. I had a class of 80.
Oh, geez. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I,
mean, even 130 is too small, but
it's not too small. Why is it too small?
well, I mean, just because that district, it,
See, here's
the
the part
state
I don't
administration.
understand. I want to dive into this with somebody. Maybe it's you, or maybe you and I find somebody to dive into it. But like, if you can build a system that's sustainable at any scale, which you can, then why couldn't
Mhm.
you do it with education? Like why?
I mean, it's just basically I don't know a lot about it. I just surmise that when you have administrative salaries, that's not an equation that can be sustainable. It's not fair, kind of, So, like, you have Robbinsdale, you have one superintendent, you have a lot of schools in Robbinsdale, you have a big population that has a big tax base,
Right,
you know. So you
right.
have a lot of taxpayers paying for that salary. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So you can't just have one guy be the superintendent of, 1,000 kids, I mean, it just, if they got rid of that, there were some top heavy administrative positions perhaps, and they had a building and they had office, it was like the state, I don't think, I mean, the state does support, and this has been kind of teeter-tottering all along. Like my daughter ended up going to Perpich. It's a high school for the arts. So
it's
that's
the
one
old
school.
the old Golden Valley Lutheran College, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Which your neighborhood, so you knew we
They
used
had a
to ride
great
our bikes.
Just a quick aside, Flip Saunders, before he became an NBA coach, who has passed away, and I went to his basketball camp. He's the sweetest, one of the sweetest people I've ever met. So giving and kind and wonderful. He was the coach at Golden Valley Lutheran College, and he had this team that was like really exciting called the Running
Oh,
Royals, and they were
oh wow.
getting a lot of attention. I mean, he kind of made his name there as a coach,
Uh-huh.
and then got picked up by bigger teams. But anyways,
Mhm.
uh,
Right. And to tack on, what is the lesson to learn or some underlying theme like you're talking about. I mean, the thing about Golden Valley is that basically what it was, I think why it was so attractive to our parents and why it was so great for us, it was a private school. I mean, when you think about it, like what a well-kept secret. That's kind of like, well, my parents heard about. They probably also heard that Edina had good schools, which Edina is known for their great academic
of course, yep.
achievements. But I'm glad they picked Golden Valley. is this piece going to be, is this about Golden Valley High School or about Golden Valley? I mean, they go hand in hand, obviously, but
It's about Golden Valley High School or the Independent School District 275, which just doesn't sound, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. So it's about
right.
Meadowbrook Middle School and Golden Valley High School. The Golden Valley Vikings is kind of a good umbrella, I guess, for it. But it's that
Hmm.
independent Golden Valley School District. Like we didn't do big numbers. I think we graduated, a paltry amount of people. I think it's under
Hmm.
3,000, if I'm remembering my numbers right, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But, the quality of education and experience, and I think the outputs are really good. you know. So I'm
Hmm.
just interested
Right.
in that. So on one
Right.
level,
Right.
it's about this school that lasted for 23 years. I thought it lasted for a lot longer before I started on this. I was like, what? 23 years?
Hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah. Right.
So why did it start? What was it like before it started? I've done some research on that, which is pretty fun.
Mhm.
Meadowbrook was at one point a one-room schoolhouse, and then
Oh, wow.
it's been at that Turner's Crossroads, which isn't there anymore, but you know what I mean. Turner and Glen.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's been
Yep.
at that spot for a long time and just been added on to
Hmm.
whatnot. At that point, we do get into like Golden Valley. What's the history of Golden Valley? How is it situated
Hmm.
in the Twin Cities? How the country and the towns of this country have changed and kind of
Hmm.
paying respect and having fun, giving homage to that. That's part of it. But at the heart of it is this school and this experiment that lasted for 23 years. And
Hmm.
what was good about it, what was bad about it. I was able to get going on this because I thought about the scope of making a documentary. And I was like, I don't, my background is I started out as an AD. Actually, my first job was script supervisor. And then I did location managing for a couple decades. And I still do that every now and then. And then I started producing about 10 years ago or so. And I know how to help people achieve their visions. I'm an administrator and I'm a manager, but
Hmm.
kind of spearhead a documentary film is a bit of a leap for me, but this is the perfect vehicle for it because the material is so dear to my heart, and
Right.
so
You know it.
like it's not this isn't work, this is fun.
Hmm. Right.
Uh,
Exactly.
so
Labor of love.
totally total labor of love. I just chunked it down into like something that was manageable, and so it's like, all right, just do the interviews, just go talk to everybody and record it.
Right.
That's it.
Hmm. Hmm.
If it stops there, we'll have this footage and it will be there for anybody that cares. And there might be someone who cares. And also, the people I'm talking to, talked to a woman who's from the second graduating class who lives in Germany yesterday. And
Wow.
I think she was pretty happy to talk about it. You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
nice too.
Yeah. Sure. People will be happy to talk about it. It has value, the history of it.
You mentioned that you had a background in documentary film. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. The culmination of that, I mean, I lived in New York. I worked, I worked for Scholastic Publishing for my main time there. But I ended up going to film school and learning. I wanted to like, what do you do? How do you do this stuff? The whole stuff. I did corporate video in DC. I lived in DC. I did that there. I did it in Minneapolis. But the final film that I made, that I was like my dream job kind of thing, was a history of the basically the Jewish history of North Side Minneapolis, of the old, they called it the old North Side. And it was where my dad grew up there. And
I would love to see that.
it's where my whole father's family was there. It was the where the Jewish immigrants settled when they came to Minneapolis. And it was a thriving Jewish community. They all went to North High School, and um, it was a film that I always wanted to make. And then it a friend of mine kind of got the tapped by the Jewish Historical Society in Minneapolis to make this film, and he knew that I was really interested, and so we did it together. Um, he was the director, and I was like the co-producer or something like that. Um, but it was great, and it was you know a big bullseye, easy bullseye to get and to make for people just to really love it because it was like hearing the stories from the people from their heyday of living there.
It doesn't sound that dissimilar in some ways, obviously, in a lot of to what I've got going here. Um,
Right.
and I'm very interested also, by the way, and for me, growing up in Golden Valley, a big part of it was the Jewish story. You know, I mean, Golden
It's
Valley, it's so funny that coming from St. Louis Park, I get it. You came to Golden Valley and you're
right.
like, oh my God, I'm in Finland. But,
Yeah, right.
for me, it was like being a non-church going baptized Lutheran, mom can't find a church that doesn't make her feel uncomfortable, so we don't go, which was
Hmm.
fine. Um, there was a smattering of Catholics. There was a ton of everybody else was Protestant, but there was a huge to the point of in fourth grade when I had Dottie Long, I was the only boy in class on Jewish holidays because all the other boys in my class in fourth grade were Jewish.
I can send you a link to the North Side Story, the one I was telling you about. It's a very sweet, nostalgic story, and you're right. It kind of reminds me of this. I mean, Golden Valley, because of that school and everything, it kind of had its golden day, its time in the sun sort of thing. It had its its sweet, time, and to try to capture that story and tell it. Um, it's, I mean, from a sociological kind of angle on it, it was like, I guess maybe you could say it'd be cool if you could come up with like a nugget to hold on to kind of thing. But it's sort of like the school made the town, or did the town make the school, you know? But I think the school kind of made the community.
Yeah.
To have a feeling, I don't know, maybe everyone has a feeling about their school the way we do. Like
Well,
we loved it, we talk about it. We get together. I mean, it's like, does everyone feel that way about their school? I don't know. The title of the documentary that I made is called "We Knew Who We Were: Memories of the Old North Side." And in interviewing the people, I mean, it was really touching because it's like they had such a community. They weren't like they knew they were Jewish. They had all these families all around them who were Jewish. There were a lot of nationalities. I mean, North High had tons of, because it was the melting pot of all the immigrants who came to Minneapolis, and it still is actually, I mean, which is kind of cool, full circle history. It was a close-knit community nonetheless, and it gave them a very strong sense of self. And I think maybe that's kind of like our situation, you
yeah.
know. But, that's a little potential angle on this stuff as well. So so that was my trajectory with film, which is still where my heart is in terms of like who I think of myself as a person. But I abandoned the film world because it kind of tanked in the late 80s, and I was had to have a child, and I had to support my child. I ended up getting divorced, and I had to get a real job kind of thing, because I was freelance, and I ended up my last 20 years or so was a business that I created, that I started, that was I sold promotional products, tchotchkes.
Hmm.
But, it paid the bills,
Yeah.
basically, is what happened with that.
Do you
But my
know that?
love was always, back in the film world.
Well, speaking of paying your bills, are you retired? Are you still working?
I am retired. I sold my business, and then I stayed on with the company that bought it for a couple of years. So yeah, I'm 1 year into absolute, full-blown retirement.
But you're not just sitting on the couch because I know that you're doing stuff.
I'm doing a lot of volunteer stuff. Well, I'm organizing our 50th reunion because I was class president. This is what you have to do.
The job that never ends.
Exactly right. It doesn't. But luckily, I like it enough, so it doesn't feel like work. People are always thanking me. I'm like, no, thank you. This is a fun thing for me. I started a thing which is totally wacko, but a friend of mine and I started this Jewish matchmaking project.
Right.
It's all volunteer. It's just something we're doing. We're crazy. We're doing it. That project and my reunion right now are my main gigs.
I have to be at the Park Slope Food Co-op at 3:30. Otherwise, I'm in trouble with my wife and the family goes on alert and they start,
I get it.
looking at us sideways. It's just not cool.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't have a
we don't
bunch
want
of
that.
Park Slope people
Oh
pissed
yeah.
at you.
Oh yeah. No, you don't go there. Don't go there.
Freddie,
All
it was
right.
so
Well,
great to meet you.
so great to meet you. I love talking about this stuff. It's fun to be continued.
Say hi to Luke.
Definitely.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care.
You
Great to
too.
chat.
You too.
Thank you.